Hello and welcome to Frank Fridays. My name is Karline Moeller and I am the founder of Art Frankly. I'd like to introduce Ellie Hayworth of Hayworth Communications Consultancy. Ellie has grown her business to command a full scope of client services that include content development, public speaking, events, business strategy, you name it, Ellie can help you. And today we are super excited to have Klaudia Ofwona Draber here with us. Klaudia is the founder and president of KODA, a social practice residency for mid-career artists. She has lived and led arts, technology, and strategy projects in Europe, Africa, and the United States. In addition to KODA, Klaudia works as the head of public relations at the Polish Cultural Institute in New York. Thank you for joining us today, Klaudia, and Ellie, I'll let you take it from here.
Amazing. Klaudia, I'm really excited to chat with you today. It's going to be a really fun conversation.
Likewise, thank you for the invitation.
Of course. So Klaudia, before we kind of dive into all things KODA and your professional practice, maybe you can just tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And can you maybe just give us a synopsis of kind of your journey to art?
Sure. I'm from Poland. I'm Polish Kenyan, half Polish, half Kenyan, born and raised in Poland. And how I ended up in the art world, I studied economics actually. So I have undergrad and grad degree in economics. And during my studies, I went on a student exchange program to Paris. So I lived for 7 months in the city of love, and that's where I fell in love with art. I worked at this art gallery residency space with 30 artist studios and with an exhibition space and a performance space. And that's really where it happened. That's how I joined the art world.
That's amazing. And you certainly are standing squarely in it. So you are now based in New York City, correct?
Yes, I live in Brooklyn.
Amazing. So I think maybe let's just dive right in to speak a little bit about KODA. One of the things that I think was really interesting is this commitment to mid-career artists and doing so through, a series of different kind of creative programs and residencies. Can you tell us a little bit about why you chose to support mid-career artists in lieu of, perhaps emerging or more established artists in the market?
Well, that's exactly what it is. The entire art world and art market are focusing very often on emerging artists and established artists. So I wrote the business plan for KODA at the Sotheby's Institute of Art, where
we're fellow alumna together.
Where I started the master's in art business in 2017. That's when I moved to New York. And writing the business plan, so that was my master's project. And during the research, I realized that there's a huge gap. The artists in the middle of their careers, they're just not getting the support and the spotlight that the emerging and the established artists are getting.
Sure, absolutely. So what were some of the needs that you identified, and in what kind of programming have you implemented in order to meet those needs?
Our mission is threefold. So we organize residencies. That's really the most important thing to support professional and artistic development of mid-career. We also organize exhibitions. These are mainly survey exhibitions. So these are solo shows, just to make sure that there's an in-depth view of what an artist does. And then there are also arts education programs. We work with universities and schools. Often these are workshops, workshops with artists, or other arts administration and management programming.
I love that. And so you really activate your programming by way of this network and this kind of these professional relationships, because you don't have a traditional brick and mortar. Is that correct?
Yes, we partner up with other people, and that's how we exist.
I love that. I think that's amazing. And we're certainly a very interconnected community. So it's great to see that there's, kind of the opportunity to foster different interdisciplinary relationships in that way. Klaudia, tell us maybe about a specific milestone or a project that you're particularly proud of that you think really served the community or your artists in a specific way.
For artists specifically, it's professional development for artists. It's turned into a symposium now. We are doing that yearly, and it's been a good program. One milestone that I'm very proud of at the moment, we are working on a summer institute. It's going to be a digital arts fellowship. We're serving 20 students in total, high school students, and we're developing our Farida Sakhaifar, and there are going to be guest artists invited. So a lot of kind of looking at learning Adobe Suite actual skill sets, arts, and through the learning about the world through artist lens.
That's amazing. Well, I look forward to seeing that as you guys roll it out and announce it. It seems like it's going to be an amazing program. Klaudia, this has been obviously a very challenging year, and I think for a lot of arts nonprofits, it was either a very challenging year that led to a lot of obstacles, or they were kind of nimble in pivoting and kind of assessing some of the challenges. What were some of your challenges or even opportunities that arose over the course of the past? I would say now we're rounding out at 16 months of the pandemic world, but what were some of the challenges you faced?
I think, like for everybody else, it was just very scary. As a team, we're just afraid we're going to die every minute. It's really getting vaccinated now, and that we're able to meet other people. The good thing about our organization and the fact that we're nomadic is that we didn't have that huge overhead that many organizations was a space, a physical space, and it was very easy for us to transition to digital, online, virtual programming and residencies. So we did that because at the beginning of the pandemic, we were still fiscally sponsored by NIFA, and they have provided a lot of support with our first online programming, which again shows kind of the value of the community partnerships.
Yeah. And I mean, you've kind of alluded to this question already, but I'm curious to hear what was the transition to remote work? Were you guys already working remotely, or was there kind of a central office that you were all coming to? What did that look like?
We worked remotely.
So it was a seamless transition.
Yeah, it was straightforward.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Did you find that there were any specific kind of needs or support systems that the artists were demanding, or that the market itself was asking you to kind of be responsive to?
Not in terms of response, but the artists definitely needed support, and I don't think enough was, because the art. Yes, and many artists teach. And that wasn't really possible for a long period of time. So we tried to support a bit. We did this program called Home Studios, where we went to speak with artists about their work that they were doing during the pandemic, and also it was just after the protests started. And this year we received a Brooklyn Arts Council grant, and we're putting that into a publication. So through that, we were able to at least provide some honoraria.
Yeah. That's great. No, I do think at the end of the day, it was a lot of, certainly a lot of the teaching engagements were, they dried up over the course of the past few years. And I think, a lot of artists also survive on kind of a side hustle. And I think, a lot of us all, I think, survive on many hustles. And so it is great to see how everybody kind of adapted innovatively to meet those needs. And hopefully where the resources fell short, we can kind of catch up now.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was support, but still the artists need to be acknowledged by the rest of the art world as for what they do and who are there at the center of the art world.
Yeah, absolutely. So Klaudia, beyond your work with KODA, you've held various different positions, including having worked at UBS. You worked with the British Council of Arts. You've been involved with the new ink program at the new museum. And as we've just heard, you still work with, is it the Polish consulate? Was that yes.
Polish Institute, New York.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about kind of your broad framework of just kind of professional practice.
Sure, definitely through all those experiences, I've been learning a lot about business from different angles, both private organizations. And in my previous experiences, yes, in the British Council, or at UBS specifically, I learned how to work with artists and also external partners such as galleries, museums, the CSR partnerships. And then at the British Council, learned more about how to commission art, how to work with commissioners, how to work with the collectors, registrars, and curators. But also throughout all those experiences, I've been learning a lot of kind of business and management skills for sure, how to manage a team or how to think strategically and think about the vision and the mission of an organization. These are skills also that I love to share with the team and with our interns that come along.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like it certainly informs, I'm sure, some of the arts education that you're offering, some of your artists. And, I think these are all transferable skills that certainly, I think we're seeing a lot of artists as entrepreneur, and yet they don't always feel empowered with the tools to do that and to kind of follow that career to fruition. So I think all of that really resonates. We love to round out with some professional practice questions. And so I would love to just kind of pose, a few questions about some of the things that you, different principles and or practices you've applied in your business life that have served you well. And, we just love to ask, what is one thing that you do every day that you think is, really contributing to either your success or at least your professional growth?
I do yoga every day.
Yeah.
But if it comes to professional life, I definitely think about my team, about my teammates, and about my team, whether they have everything they need to accomplish what they are working on, and that they wish to be working on.
Yeah, no, teamwork is certainly critical. What are maybe a new set of best practices or kind of words of advice that you would give to an aspirational young professional coming into the arts?
Probably like everywhere else at every job, and especially right now that we are slowly leaving the pandemic way of working. Very important to take care of yourself and to take time off whenever you need it. Life is very precious, and it's not to overwork yourself to I'll leave it at that. Take care of
and I think energy and creativity is, it's somewhat a renewable resource, but I think it's something you need to nurture in order to get the output that you want. So that's certainly a good professional practice. And I think it's actually kind of a serendipitous segue, because our last question is always about kind of a positive takeaway. And, we certainly have had a very fraught year. We've learned a lot about both our community and ourselves. What is one positive takeaway that you hope we continue to hold close to the vest as we move forward?
I believe it's the same thing.
Okay.
More applying to stress, and that's one thing that I definitely have been aware a lot during the pandemic, and self-care.
Well, I think that's certainly a great note to conclude on. And it was lovely to speak with you today. And I appreciate that you've lent your time to our Frank Friday.
Thank you very much.